Mega Barbaracle. Mega Barbaracle already had most of what it needed to be a major Shell Smash threat. It went from water rock to rock fighting, bringing to mind comparisons with Terrakion, if Terrakion could also Swords Dance and Rock Polish on the same turn. That's Shell Smash, and while Barbaracle doesn't have Terrakion's immediate speed, it doesn't need it when base 88 is perfectly solid for getting the job done after a boost, and instead it has a mammoth base 130 defense to help it set up in the first place. What it needs is an ability that strengthens it further, letting it really land those KOs at +2, since it can't hold a boosting item like Life Orb, which incidentally has also returned with this new update. And as it turns out, the perfect ability for that was the one Barbaracle already had in its base form, Tough Claws. Game Freak had the sense to recognize and not mess up a good thing, letting Mega Barbaracle maintain the brutal 30% boost to its contact moves, meaning it's effectively Life Orb minus the recoil, which makes Mega Barbaracle's new stab close combat really shred everything after a boost, as well as of course its perfectly complementary secondary stab, Stone Edge, the shredder of fighting resistant flying types, and with Tough Claws, Shell Smash, and Barbaracle's huge base 140 attack backing it, most ghosts and psychics that would withstand close combat are getting ripped apart something fierce as well, provided Stone Edge's famous 80% accuracy doesn't betray it at the last minute. This offensive beast aside, next we have a more defensively minded change with Mega Dragalge. At long last, upon Mega evolving, Dragalge receives not just an appreciated enhancement to its already impressive special defense and solid defense, but an enhancement to its longevity, perhaps the greatest enhancement it could have asked for, as all the bulk in the world can't save you from getting worn down when you can't reliably heal up. Now Mega Dragalge doesn't even have to take a turn to heal, it simply switches out. Regenerator is famous for turning Pokemon with no recovery and average bulk or bad bulk into paragons of repeated hit taking. See Tornadus and Mean Shao, both with long-standing careers as defensive pivots. Of course, those two don't just take hits, and neither will Mega Dragalge, as Regenerator's longevity reinforcement also opens up opportunities for it to unleash its synergistic Poison Dragon Stab duel and colorful coverage alongside its newly improved special attack stat as well, while its lower speed makes it perfectly suited for Trick Room in VGC. While both VGC and especially singles, it can pivot in and out of battle beautifully with the switch move Flip Turn. Now we'll steal over to Mega Eelektross, the eel who has been elevated. That's not just a bad joke, that's the name of its new ability, Elevate, because it's an elevated, levitating eel. The good news is, as the name suggests, it means Eelektross is still going to have all the perks of Levitate, most famously being immune to the ground attacks that would otherwise be its sole weakness as a mono-electric type. The other good news is that, as suggested by the fact that this is a new, unique ability created solely for one Pokemon, it has some other perks as well. In addition to keeping Levitate, Elevate also adds the effect of Beast Boost, boosting whatever is the higher offensive stat upon KOing an opponent with direct damage. This incentivizes the use of Mega Eelektross' enormous new attack stat even further, prompting a potential snowball effect. Or, well, it might, were it not for the problems of being a physical electric, i.e. not having the coverage for grounds, despite having a smattering of solid other options, as Mega Eelektross has close combat, knockoff, and fire punch. Its middling speed doesn't help at all either, though that at least can be remedied with Tail Room in VGC. Still, there's no denying that this is a great ability, uniquely effective on offense and defense simultaneously. If anything, it gives Mega Eelektross a chance towards some serious viability. Now onto the Pokemon whose name gets auto-corrected every time you try to spell it, we have Mega Falinks. Any physical attacker loves Defiant, letting its attack not just stand in the face of all the Incineroar out there, but actively dare them to switch in and boost them further with its Intimidate. Mega Falinks is no exception to this rule, not least because of its massive stab close combat, which means unlike King Gambit stabs, there's not a chance of Incineroar being able to weather it whatsoever. Falinks' base form already had Defiant, and as with Barbaracle's original ability, Game Freak once again recognized it was a good thing waiting to happen if it just hung on to it. Now that it has the stats to back up the ability, with immensely boosted attack and speed, as well as a great defense stat to boot, Mega Falinks was free to spam not just close combat, but its massively powerful first impression as well. The first turn effect makes it even more apt at effectively leading off and thwarting Incineroar. That said, you know what also kept its original ability, but probably, no, definitely shouldn't have? Well, that's none other than Mega Malamar. It must be said that we were wrong in expecting this to be good. Surely those stats, unimpressive for a regular Pokemon, let alone a Mega, were absolutely screaming, this thing gets the Trick Room setting ability. No? But no actually, not even close. Mega Malamar doesn't even extend the duration of Trick Room by a turn, or something like even a gravity setting ability. Anything game breaking at all, as it's so clearly needed. But no, we just got regular old Contrary, just like its base form. Why would Game Freak give us this hope? Well, maybe they did such a good job with all those other abilities to distract us from this, but it only makes poor Mega Malamar's fate seem more sadistic in comparison. It is truly a terrible Pokemon. Yes, it has superpowers that are actually bulk ups, that's cool, but not on Mega Malamar's unwieldy typing and dearth of stats. It's not even a fighting type, so the superpowers aren't even stabbed. This is a twisted inverse of the Mega Barbaracle and Falinks situation, where what they already had was ideal. If anything, Mega Malamar should have gotten something like the Mega Eelektross style ability. Sure, let it keep contrary if it's that important, but add the effect of another ability to it. The more impactful, the better. It's absolutely starving for anything, and Game Freak said, nah, this is fine. Moving past the regretful implication that surely this thing would ever be worth anything of note, we move to another Pokemon in great need of assistance that did get a new, unique ability with Mega Pyroar. And while it's not two abilities in one, Mega Pyroar's Fire main is very good. Boosting fire moves 50% gives its primary stab some much needed heft. This is no small boost, as it's effectively a free choice specs equivalent for its most spammable option, while still being able to switch to another move when needed. And yet, it's uncertain it'll be enough to justify Mega Pyroar's inclusion on a team. Fire main is almost as good as an ability as it could have hoped for, but there's only so far it can go with its stats. The Keldeo equivalent special attack is good, but the 126 base speed is uniquely good. However, Mega Pyroar is overall too flawed and limited a Pokemon for more firepower to solve all of its problems. At least this level of firepower, its stats simply weren't high enough. Since it was a unique ability made just for Mega Pyroar, it seems like it could have been an opportunity to take the Mega Eelektross route and have its ability do two different things at once. Alas. Still, at the very least, Fire main gives us some actual strength to work with. And speaking of power, next up is the long-awaited Mega Raichu X. How would Mega Raichu X handle being by far the slower, weaker of the two Mega Raichu? By gaining one of the best support abilities in the game with Electric Surge, of course. Right now, it's the only terrain setter currently in Champions, with no Rillaboom in DDF or anything else around. But even if it had to deal with competing terrains, Mega Raichu would be huge. Tapu Koko comparisons are inevitable and potentially unflattering given how great Tapu Koko was, but Mega Raichu seems more than capable of rising to the occasion. While it's not quite as speedy as Koko, 110 base speed is still solid, and Raichu more than makes up for the relative speed drop in other areas, starting with its much stronger base 135 attack. While it doesn't quite escape the problems of physical attacking electric in that it doesn't have much coverage, the coverage it does have includes the excellent knockoff, and unlike most other physical electrics, Mega Raichu X also has an incredibly fierce electric stab in the 120 base power Volt Tackle, which it strengthens for itself with its own electric terrain. However, what really makes Mega Raichu X is that even if it's not dishing out the pain itself, its support is the real deal. Not only is it setting electric terrain, it also has fake out support, an incredibly fast fake out in fact, with Sneasler being the only faster one that's commonly seen. Throw in a fast Encore and you've got an incredibly flexible, massively impactful utility Pokemon. So that's the first Mega Raichu. What about the second? Now this is a standalone beast. Mega Raichu Y has tremendous speed, the same as Tapu Koko in fact, an enormous special attack, which was already promising before its new ability, which has turned out to be just what it needs to really ascend to new heights. Not only does No Guard, which makes all moves used by and against its user incapable of missing, therefore make Mega Raichu Y the most reliable Focus Blast user in history, this is already incredible in of itself, given how amazing the move is when it hits and how rare it thus has a chance to be amazing. But Mega Raichu Y takes its inability to miss attacks further than just making its coverage more reliable, as No Guard unlocks a new stab for it. Thunder, you're thinking. No, even better, Zap Cannon, which always paralyzes the opponent but has 50% accuracy until used by Mega Raichu Y. This of course recalls Machamp's No Guard Dynamic Punch confusions, which terrorize singles, but now Mega Raichu Y unleashes a much more frightening equivalent. If not just for the much higher power and speed of the move, especially with Zap Cannon itself being 120 base power as opposed to Dynamic Punch's 100, thereby also making it stronger than Thunder, but also for the permanence of the status it inflicts. Even with paralysis being nerfed to only 12.5% full paralysis rate in Champions, it's still nasty. Mega Raichu Y packs this while also having Surf for ground types, unlike nearly all electrics, with Grass Knot possible as well. And it's so strong, it doesn't even need Nasty Plot, although in singles that would be a force. That's just offense too, since in addition to its incredible offense, Mega Raichu Y is simultaneously offering that all-important fake out support with Encore as a crucial bonus. Now we move on from this speedster over to Mega Scolipede. So much for Scolipede's turn from its base form speed boosting to its Mega's complete lack of speed, being salvaged by some grand design of an ability. Shell armor making it crit immune is certainly good, no one would ever deny that, but Mega Scolipede's vulnerable defensive typing and aforementioned low speed, while not quite having the offensive potential to function under Trick Room, what with its lack of an especially synergistic stab combination or really explosive move pool, means it needs some, or rather a lot of help from its ability, so it winds up receiving nada in this regard. Being slightly more defensively apt isn't going to change too much. It's not like it has some sort of extended boosting playstyle that loves to be shielded from crits, like Calm Mind Mega Slowbro, which does actually make excellent use of shell armor. Mega Scolipede, on the other hand, has really just had its helplessness cemented with its ability that it can't really do anything with. It basically got the Mega Malamar treatment, except it really got the stats yanked from under it for some truly bizarre reason. Now for another Gen 5 Mega, we go over to Mega Scrafty. Chalk Mega Scrafty up as another Pokemon whose base form's ability was so great. Game Freak didn't even bother trying to improve upon it. Sometimes simply having more stats on top of what you already have is enough. Now that Mega Scrafty has the stats to back up the potential of its unique typing and superb move pool, it's going to be intimidating all over the place. Being able to weaken physical attackers even after Mega Evolving is superb. And actually, it'll be able to pull off 2 Intimidates in a row, once in its base form upon initially being sent out, and then again as it Mega Evolves, which it will often do safely with access to Fake Out. Being able to instantly -2 an opponent's attack opens up a lot of opportunities for various strategies, as you can set up safely right at the beginning of the game. There's no escaping it via switch on that first turn either, as Scrafty intimidating again after Mega Evolving will leave any switch-ins with -1 attack as well. Plus, Mega Scrafty absolutely dominates King Gambit, so it doesn't have to worry about kicking up its Defiant. Sadly, Scrafty lost access to Parting Shot, so it can't cycle through its Intimidates and further weaken the opponent as easily, but this is a small quibble for what is otherwise the perfect addition, or rather non-change, to a Pokemon that was already so well poised to occupy a solid place in the metagame. Now, speaking of well-poised Pokemon, well, this one looks like it's going to go further than just having a solid place. If anything, it's likelier to be the metagame, as next is Mega Staraptor. Mega Staraptor has gotten an absolutely incredible ability that is already rocketing it to superstar status. We've got an alphabetical order of Megas, but in doing so, we've happily wound up saving the best for last. Now that it's got Contrary, the Gen 4 fan favorite is flying even higher now than the already impressive promise of its fighting flying typing, working somewhat similarly to the Defiant bearing Pokemon of the same type, Galarian Zapdos, except Contrary lets Mega Raptor work as a more complete Pokemon overall without compromising any offensive devastation. This is no Mega Malamar, unable to make the most of the ability. Instead, it's the final step in making Mega Staraptor both offensively terrifying and incredibly difficult to take out in return, all while packing a fantastic base 110 speed stat. Yep, that's right, Mega Staraptor is looking like a capital P perfect Pokemon. How does Contrary make this happen? Well, the offensive angle is simple. It makes it impossible to intimidate, as any attempts to do so will actually raise its attack by 1 stage. And of course, its newly acquired stab on close combat means, like Mega Falinks, it will have Incineroar running from the hills. Anything but switch into Mega Raptor and make it even stronger. Defensively is where it really gets nuts though. First of all, Staraptor is starting off with Intimidate, which of course synergizes nicely with the significantly boosted defense it gets upon Mega Evolving, and the buff to its special defense is appreciated as well. However, post-Mega, it's actually going to be boosting both of these. That now stab close combat actually becomes even easier to spam, as thanks to Contrary, it's going to raise these defenses by 1 stage, instead of lowering them as it normally would. Basically, it means Mega Staraptor is using close combat and cosmic power on the same turn. Mega Staraptor also has Roost to reinforce its longevity, and thus really make the most of these defensive boosts, which also combine to make the recoil from its other stab, Brave Bird, far more forgiving. And of course, the better it is defensively, the more it is able to stick around and crush everything offensively. One-on-one, it is just completely impenetrable physically, especially since, like Mega Scrafty, which it completely dominates by the way, it also doesn't fear giving King Gambit a Defiant boost. And unlike Mega Scrafty, it doesn't fear giving Mega Falinks the boost either, as it outruns and decks it with Brave Bird. Contrary also allows Mega Staraptor to unleash devastating strategies like pairing up with Prankster Pokemon to boost it further. For instance, an ally Whimsicott using Charm on it to basically give it a Swords Dance, as if Mega Staraptor didn't hit it hard enough already, and Whimsicott can also provide Tailwind too. Thanks in large part to Contrary, Mega Staraptor looks to be one of the most dominant forces of the new metagame. And thank you so much to our Platinum patrons. Thank you to Alex Sable, Anthony Belval Renault, Daniel Isbeast, Corman, Don Creek, Eric Dissing, Espion Lover, Funky, Glitcherton, Howl, Jack G, King Yabber, Nightfall, Megamon VGC, Mojo Game Slayer, Nurse Jake, One Penguin to Rule, Pretzel SP, Palamute, Plutonian Shores, Schmooter, Seagulls Incorporated, Soljiro Sakura, Spavoon, Skylaria, Soras and Croxon, Shiwei Miji, Stoneface Colin, Tyler, Kiboflu, Wardeen, Zachary Stimson, Zathor for their major support of our videos.